Hey everyone, it's Alison here from Ladner Village Arts and Crafts and back with another Make It Monday. Today I am going to be making some sympathy cards with this stamp and die set from HoneyBee Stamps. I just love the beautiful dragonflies, and there's some wonderful sentiments on the stamp set, and then it's got the coordinating die set. And I am a huge advocate that if you are any sort of card maker and you're buying stamps like this, especially with images that you might want to cut out, invest in the die set as well. You will not regret it. Okay, so this is a card I have already made, and I've actually made 3 of them because an aunt of mine recently passed away, and I'm going to be sending these to her siblings and her daughter, my cousin, because I am unable to go and attend her funeral in person because it's in Scotland. So anyways, I made this already, and this just uses the stamp set, but I thought I could elevate it. So I have been playing around with some vellum and some embossing and the dies, and I have come up with a new card front, which is not finished yet, but this is where I'm at. Okay, so I'm gonna show you how I get to this point, and then we will finish making the cards together. As you will see, or maybe you can't, let's see if I can bring it up. I have put some Nouveau, sorry, I was thinking something else, but they're Nouveau glitter drops onto the dragonflies to just sort of accentuate their bodies. And I will do the same thing on top of the vellum. Right now it's embossed, which adds a lot of wonderful shine, dimension. It really elevates the card to have these dragonflies just pop out, I think. But adding some glitter will help as well. Okay, so let's take you through how we get to this point. I'm going to put these aside for now because we're going to start with our card base. So if I can find my card under here. This is just a piece of white cardstock. Now I have it cut to 3.5 inches by 6.5 inches, and then I will trim it down. So as you can see, some of the stamping has been sort of interrupted by the die cutting I do later. I'm okay with that. The sentiment is repeated multiple times, so I don't think you're losing anything in that. And then for the color scheme, you can do any color scheme you like. I tend to think of blues when I'm thinking of a sympathy card. So I've got what I would consider the gray blues. That's speckled egg and stormy sky, and then chipped sapphire, which is like a navy, almost going to purple. But yeah, as you can see, they work so well together. And I also have a spare bit of paper that I practice my stamping on, just to keep my fingers from getting messy. The card stock I'm using is fairly thin, so it will bend as I do my ink blending. So in case you are new to this, or you've never seen ink blending before, this is a distress ink blending tool. These are Distress Oxide inks, and they blend just beautifully. And I'm just gonna load up my ink pad, and I'm just gonna start off the edge of the paper in little circular motions and just bring it across the paper, swirling as I blend the ink. Now, this piece of scrap paper that I'm holding will give a very sharp line right here. That's okay. I'm going to blend that out. Okay, so then I'm going to go to my next color, which is Stormy Sky. So I started with the lightest color. Now I'm going to go to the medium color, and I'm going to start right where that sharp line is. I'm going to come right across it. Voila, no more sharp line. Reload your ink as you need to. My speckled egg ink pad is pretty new, so the ink in that is juicy. My Stormy Sky is not quite so new, so it's not quite so juicy. And then my chipped sapphire is the driest, so I'll probably have to reload it the most. When working with chipped sapphire, especially for the first time, especially with a brand new ink pad, go lightly. It is a very dark color. It does not take a lot of ink to get the effect you're looking for. So now the bottom here is nice and saturated, and now I'm going to work on erasing that line that I got. Now I don't want that line either. And to erase that, I'm going to come back in with my Stormy Sky and go right over top. And then I'm just going to bring up some more Stormy Sky, really deepen that. And I'm going to come back with my speckled eggs to just kind of blend out that line a little bit more. And this is how we get our beautiful blends, is we keep going back and forth. And as soon as you touch it, you're gonna get ink all over your hands. I was gonna touch it, and now I've decided not to. I just wanna crisp up the bottom bit a little bit. Make it nice and dark right at the very bottom. Okay. I'm just gonna clean off my mat here. If I don't do this, then I just get ink all over the back of the card, and then it transfers to me, or I lay it down on the front of the card, and it's just a mess. Okay, so there's our background. Now to do the stamping on top, and I've already got one of the dragonfly stamps loaded onto an acrylic block, and I'm going to go into with my darkest color, and I'm just going to place my dragonfly approximately at the 1/3. You know, if you divided your piece of paper into thirds, it's approximately at the bottom third line. And then I'm going to clean off that stamp. I'm just using a baby wipe. My stamp scrubber is at the store, I think. Okay, I'm just bringing that back on my stamp set so I don't lose it. Knocking my heat gun off. Grabbing the other dragonfly stamp, and I will go in and stamp this on my card front as well. I'm going to leave that out because I'll need that in just a minute. And now I've got the sentiment. It just says, thinking of you, with a little pop-top backing on it. And I'm going to go in again with the darkest color. And just like I did with the other cards, I'm doing this 3 times. Basically in each of the color sections. So you get the chipped sapphire on top of the speckled egg, and then on top of the Stormy Sky, and then finally on top of the chipped sapphire, which you won't see a huge amount, but it just gives a bit of texture there. Now I'm finished with these other 2 ink pads, so I'm going to cover them up before I start laying things on top of them. Now to do the embossed butterfly, and I'll come back and cut this out once the ink is all dried. To do the embossed butterflies, I just grabbed some vellum. Now this is vellum that I had in my drawer. This is just from when I used to do drafting. This has just been picked up at an office supply store, and you can buy vellum from just about anywhere. And I'm going to do my embossing on it, and I want to show you. I've pre-done some dragonflies on here, mostly so this is nice and cool so that we can cut these out, but I am going to show you how easy it is to emboss on to vellum with Distress Oxide inks. Okay, so I've got here, it's a Sizzix brand embossing powder tray, some clear embossing powder. Now you've got some time with the Distress Oxide inks. They don't dry right away like a pigment ink would, or I'm probably getting that wrong. One of them, dye ink or pigment ink, dries really quickly. But this Distress Oxide does not dry super fast. So you have time to apply some embossing powder over top. So I'm just using clear embossing powder. That way we see the color of the ink through. But you could also use, like you could use any color of Distress Oxide ink and then put any color of embossing powder over top. And then I'll get my heat gun. Just gonna warm it up for a minute. So once your heat gun is warm, start from the back. And I'm gonna try and do this so that you can see it, but start from the back. Try not to bring your heat gun too close to the vellum because you can scorch it, and then just wait for the magic. Can you see how it's gone shiny now? I'm just going to hit it from the top again and make sure it's all completely embossed. And there we go. Beautiful, shiny, embossed dragonfly in that chipped sapphire. So that's super duper easy way of stretching your Distress Oxides and getting a different look. Now, I love these trays because you just tap all that powder right back into your jar and you don't lose any of it. Okay, moving on. Let's cut out some of these dragonflies so that we can put them on top of our card front. So to cut it out, I need my, what's this called? Big Shot. Yeah, I'm just moving some things aside before I get them all yucky. Okay. So I'm just gonna cut out a couple of these just to make it easier to demonstrate on camera. Now I need my dies, which have disappeared. There they are. Okay, so they match up to these two dragonflies. Hopefully I'm on camera there. So this is this one, and this little guy is this one. Now, if I'm using a magnetic platform, which quite frankly is a must if you're using these thin dies, because it just saves your life. But if the dies decide to not cooperate and sort of move around a little bit, which sometimes happens, sometimes the magnets in the magnetic platform just don't behave properly. I'm just using some of this Best Craft Tape Ever, I think it's called, from Spellbinders. Just a tiny little piece to hold that in place. And then this one probably doesn't need it. This one's giving me a bit of trouble, so I'm going to put 2 pieces of tape on that one. Okay, and then you just put your top plate on, run it through. And you've got 2 beautifully cut out dragonflies. Yeah, that one was a little off. That's all right. That is part of the beauty of handmade things, the imperfections. So this Spellbinders tape is a low tack, kind of an alternative to washi tape. So it won't tear your paper as you take it off your project. Okay, so while we have the big shot out, let's cut our card front to size. And for that, I have got this set, which I think I've shown you before. It's from Pink Fresh Studios, and it's the Mini Slimline Essentials bundle. And there's lots of different sizes of dies to cut different sized card fronts. So this is the largest one, so it'll give me a full 3" by 6" card front. So I'm just going to lay it on my card here. And it will also give me a nice little, I think this is the stitched edge one. And I want to cut it down before I start gluing on. Oh no, this has got the sort of, I don't know what to call that, woven edge. Anyways, I wanted to cut it down before I start gluing on my dragonflies, just so that I avoid gluing them too far off the edge, and then I won't be able to stick it in the envelope. All right. So I am just using my regular Nuvo adhesive to glue these on, and the issue, the problem with vellum is that you will be able to see the glue from the back. I'm not concerned about that in this particular case because I am going to be putting some Nuvo drops over top. But if I were doing, like you can buy vellum shapes to put onto like scrapbook layouts and things. If I were doing that, then I would be strategic where I put my glue, and I would have it in places where I can put something over top or hide it somehow. Okay, to let that dry a little bit, I have my acrylic block. Just making sure it's clean, and I'm just gonna put it off to one side while I work on the other card, and I'm just gonna put the acrylic block on top there so that it can, the weight of it can flatten the dragonflies to the card front. Okay, so let's work on this one. Now, before I start adding anything else, I do want to add some little flicks of water, and this is just a little mini spray bottle. I'm taking the tube out and I'm flicking it. Hopefully the camera's picking up those water drops. As they dry, it will sort of pick up the ink, and you'll get water spots like on these guys where you've got these little water spots. But you can help it along with just a piece of paper towel. I'm just gonna carefully put it down, lift it up, and there you see the water spots. So to finish this, we're going to finish this with some Nuvo ink. But before I do that, let's put it onto a card front, because I can't attach it to the card front for you while the Nuvo is wet. Where did my tape go? Here it is. I like to put lots of tape on the back of my card fronts. I don't want them moving anywhere. And also, if I've been doing ink blending, anything with water, and my card front is maybe a little bit warped, having the tape on all 4 sides means that I can be confident that it's going to be glued down and not move and be nice and flat. Okay, so I'm just lining it up. I know that this is the exact same size as my card front, so I can just line it up and lay it down. Now, before I do any folding, this is where I'm going to add my Nuvo glitter drop. So this is just the glitter in, let's see what color it's called. I think it's Blizzard. Yep, White Blizzard. And I'm just going to go into the body, like the tail of the dragonfly, and I'm going to add my glitter drops just in the body. And this is where most of my glue is holding the dragonfly, like the vellum, down. So this is one way of hiding that. I've got little drops a glue on the wing tips, which I can see, but it doesn't super bother me, so I'm going to leave it. And then on the other cards, I added just some dots of white Nuvo Drop. So I'm going to do the same thing here. And I'm just sort of, I like groups of 3. So I'm just putting 3 drops at each of these, thinking of you. I think my white needs to be cleaned out because it's a little hard coming out of the bottle. And I'll put. Now, if you have trouble forming the Nuvo Drops, before I go any further, I had a needle on my desk a minute ago. Don't know where it is, but I have a pin. So if you're having trouble, if it's not coming out of the bottle, just stick a pin in there, clean it off, and then it should come out easily. There we go. And then if you're having trouble forming nice round Nuvo Drops, take your card, and I don't know if you can see that, but some of these they're a little sort of malformed. Turn it over and flick it. And it sort of helps soften the peaks, and then everything sort of settles down as it dries. Okay, so there is our finished sort of upgraded card. So there's the original one I did with just the stamping and then some of the Nuvo glitter on there. And then this is a new one with the Vellum dragonfly. I really like how that just makes it the dragonfly pop. Here, you know, you mostly see the body of the dragonfly. The wings are kind of fading into the background. A beautiful card, if I do say so myself. But I think I really like this. Okay, so give that a try. Buy a stamp set and coordinating die set and play around with it. This would be really great with any sort of organic image. So, you know, butterflies, botanicals, anything like that. Have some fun with your distress oxides and your embossing powders. Yeah, okay. So thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you again next week for another Make It Monday. Bye.